Hey, what's up out there, YouTube? Double D here with Tournage Dubois. Welcome back. Today we are going to be working to try and fix one of my very early projects. So one of my earlier videos was my very first live edge bowl out of this piece of elm. What happened was we got a little bit of cracking, as you can see here, and then it warped because it was still a little wet, so I got a crack in the mortise that I had put in. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to turn this back to round, get this bottom cut off. We're going to put a tenon on it, flip it around, clear out the inside, round it back up, and then we'll finish it. So what I have is I have it on a stop block here. So this little block is mounted up in the chuck, and this is balanced against it. And then I have my tailstock brought up tight to center. And I found center on it, and as you can see, as it turns, it's just a little bit wonky. So we're going to work to get this, see if we can get it fixed. I will put a link to that previous video up here. It was one of my earlier videos, and I think it was actually just photos throughout the process rather than a video because I wasn't really recording at the time. But yeah, that's our project today. So we're going to be working on this piece and see if we can't get it prettied up and back to where it was looking good. I'm going to have a different type of polish, of course, to use on it with some of Brad's workbench stuff. So we will give that a go and see what we can do. And then I'll post some comparison pictures before and after, right after it was first done, and then when I get it redone again, and see where we go from there. Hopefully it won't fly apart, but we shall see. So let's get going. All right, I have my tenon cut. So we're going to get this flipped around, put it on the chuck, and I think that'll give me a little bit better cut on the outside. Okay, so I got the outside cleaned up, shaped up pretty good. It's going to need good sanding, of course. This crack, what I'm thinking about doing is after I clean up the inside a little bit, I might cut this out and make it be like a yarn bowl type thing. I think that'll keep that little feature there and be some fun. Plus it'd be my first yarn bowl. So this would be a series of firsts. My first fix from one of my very first bowls I ever did. It'll be my first time using a jam chuck, and then of course a first time yarn bowl. So this could just be the trifecta, I guess, of firsts. Let's see about getting this inside cleaned out, and we will see where we go from there. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do on the inside here, I think I'm going to have the lathe going in reverse so I can cut across rather than try and reach back. The walls are relatively thin up here, but they thicken out the bottom edge. So at the bottom, right in here, we have approximately 3/4 of an inch. Down here, where I cut the mortise off and put on the tenon, I'm at about 1/2 inch. So I've got some good space I can take out right down in here. Up here at the top, of course, I'm about 1/4 inch. So basically I'll be probably bringing this a little bit more round. Obviously you can see it's thinner here, thicker here, etc. So I'll probably try and even that up a little bit, but I'll mainly focus on this lower part and then the bottom to get that cleaned up. You can see the marks from my jam chuck. And like I said, it's my first time using the jam chuck, so we will, I think I need some non-stick fabric or something like that that will help keep it from slipping, which is what it was doing a little bit in the chuck, and obviously made that little bit of a burn mark there. So I appreciate any feedback from those of you who are more seasoned than I am with this specifically, since I've been doing this for 5 months now. Any feedback you can give me on helpful hints to make my use of a jam chuck better, that would be much appreciated, and we'll hop right back into this. Now I think that's much better. So we'll get the sanding up, sand the outside and the inside, and do our finishes, and then we'll flip it around on the jam chuck again. What I'll probably do this time with the jam chuck is put a little piece of cloth or a paper towel, something in there maybe, to see if that helps give it a little bit more grip on the inside, and then we'll get the tenon cut off and see where we are. So we'll start sanding. I'll bring you back after most of the sanding's done, so you don't have to endure that party, so to speak, and we'll go from there. All right, and we are back. I've sanded up to 400 grit. Hit it with denatured alcohol just before that, so it's pretty good. There's still a little bit of some punkiness, but I'm not super worried about this since this is a redo bowl. But we're going to hit it with the abrasive paste. That should smooth up a little bit there, and then we will decide what we want to finish this up after we get the tenon off. If we're going to cut this crack out right here and make this into a yarn bowl. If I do that, then I probably ought to clean that up a little bit. Might just leave it as is, and we shall see. But let's get our abrasive paste on here so we can get that done, and then we can get our tongue wax and see what we end up looking like. All right, that's our abrasive paste. Let's get our tongue wax on, and then we'll let it set for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll be back with this to buff it off, and then we'll flip it around and see about getting the tenon taken off. All right, time to get it flipped around and see if we can get the tenon taken off. All right, so we got it flipped around on the jam chuck. I used the same hole that was in the tenon so I can line it up to make sure I'm as close to center as possible. So now we'll see about getting the tenon removed and go from there. So what I'm going to do real quick before I get it freeze, I'm just going to make sure that I got the bottom concave so it'll sit flat on the edges. So as you can see, it's touching on the edges and there's a little bit of a raise there. So that's where I want it so that it will sit level. Obviously need to sharpen my wood chisel a little bit, but that will work for now, and then we can sand that out. For the bottom of this, I'm just going to put a little True Oil gunstock finish on it. Of course, it's the bottom, so it'll just be sitting on the bottom. So I'm not super worried about that, but I think that'll blend in with the other part as well. All right, and thanks for sticking with me on this trip down memory lane. Well, like I said, this is a redo of one of the very first bowls I turned, the very first live edge bowl I ever turned, first side grain bowl, and turned it on my old lathe, which the slowest speed on that was 750 RPM. So having a little bit more control with this one is super awesome. That being said, I think I'm going to leave it as is. I think that I like that feature. Just adds a little bit of character to it and has some fun. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Please leave comments, feedback in the notes down below, the comments. I appreciate the way the channel's really been growing over the past. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season coming up. And I will catch you down the road on our next project. So thanks again. Have a great day.